Thank you, Director General. Do I take it that the Assembly wishes to adopt the annual report of the Director General on the implementation of the work program and budget for 2021 as contained in document A/12/3 and take note of the work program as self-assessment 2021 as contained in document A/12/inf/2? I hear no objection. It is so decided. Do I also take that the Assembly wishes to adopt the proposed work program and budget for 2022-2023 as contained in document A/12/4 and A/12/4 revision 1 and adopt the related draft decision as contained in A/12 DC/L.1/revision 1? I hear no objections. It is so decided. So this concludes our consideration of agenda items 5 and 6. As you all are aware, the ministerials under items 8, 7, 8, and 9 have been will be reconvened at a later time. So I now invite the Assembly to turn to agenda item 10, reports from ministerial meetings and other events. Under this item, the Assembly will hear reports from the ministerial and stakeholders meetings held from 13 to 14 January 22, as well as other key meetings that IRENA has held as part of its engagement with members and stakeholders last year. In June 2021, IRENA organized the Global High-Level Forum on Energy Transition. I now invite Spain in its capacity as president of the 11th Assembly, represented by Mr. Johan Groitzard, Director General of the Institute for Diversification and Saving of Energy, to report on the discussions of the Global High-Level Forum and Energy Transitions. Mr. Groitzard, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Honorable Ministers, Excellencies, Director General, Madam President, ladies and gentlemen. Established at the 11th session of the Assembly, the Global High-Level Forum on Energy Transition serves as a vision-building forum for IRENA members to discuss their collective aspiration for the energy transition with key stakeholders. The inaugural meeting of the Global High-Level Forum on the Energy Transition took place on the 30th of June, 2021 in a virtual format, with the participation of ministers, high-level representatives, and distinguished delegates across our membership. Tapping into synergies with global partners with a view to strengthening the nexus between climate and energy, the forum also welcomed the participation of Ms. Patricia Espinosa, Executive Secretary of UNFCCC, and Mr. Ho Sung Lee, Chair of the IPCC. In addition to the Vice Presidents of the 11th Assembly, Albania, Costa Rica, Ghana, and India, the forum also welcomed the participation of Antigua and Barbuda as the Chair of the Alliance of Small Island States, Italy as the current G20 presidency, Indonesia as the incoming G20 presidency, Germany as the incoming G7 presidency, and the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, which has recently been announced as the host of COP28. The first special edition of the forum also coincided with the release of the complete edition of IRENA's World Energy Transitions Outlook, the WETO 2021, which comprises ambitious content: the 1.5-degree energy transition scenario, an analysis of the socio-economic impacts of this pathway, and recommendations on policies and financing sources for its achievements. I am pleased to report to the Assembly on the discussions and outcomes of this important meeting, which provided for a high-level discussion on the relation between science and raising ambition in light of ongoing processes, and exploring actions to accelerate a just, inclusive, and systemic energy transition. The panelists welcomed with appreciation the WETO as a landmark report, synergizing findings and recommendations towards an energy pathway that is aligned with the IPCC special report on 1.5 degrees, the Paris Agreement on Climate Change, and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. These linkages were highlighted as particularly crucial as countries across the world chart the diverse plans of action to achieve a just, inclusive, and systemic transition for their people in line with their NDCs and long-term low-emission development strategies. Reiterating the commitment to place the energy transition at the heart of recovery efforts in a post-COVID situation, panelists noted the cross-sectorial benefits in economic, environmental, societal, welfare, and developmental terms, and described their decarbonization targets, experiences, achievements, and vision for their energy transitions. Amongst the discussions, the panelists emphasized the urgency to further accelerate momentum towards the energy transition, achieve climate and development targets, and get on the 1.5-degree pathway at a faster pace, the need to leverage global initiatives and fora, including COP26 and the UN High-Level Dialogue on Energy, and increase ambition to achieve net zero by 2050, including through accelerating the phase-out of coal, in particular, and mobilizing finance and investment towards ever greater penetration of renewables. The imperative to learn from lessons of the pandemic and place an inclusive and just transition at the core of global, regional, and national efforts, the need to move from setting long-term goals and long-term targets and NDCs to taking actionable steps to implement these policies and targets, obviously in a shorter timescale, and the importance of promoting global solidarity and extending support and partnership across regions, including in SIDS and Africa, to balance economic and environmental imperatives while removing barriers to finance and investment. Panelists also underlined the growing importance of IRENA's role as a global voice of renewables, particularly in strengthening the nexus between energy and climate objectives and in achieving a successful global energy transition. In this regard, the Global High-Level Forum was recognized as a timely and instrumental platform to strengthen international cooperation and facilitate collaboration across IRENA's diverse membership in the shared endeavor to build a new energy system. Noting the analysis and foresight presented in the WETO, as well as the clear message that success will only be possible through an inclusive and just transition that leaves no one behind, the panelists emphasized the need to further develop regional approaches to the energy transition. In order to build on this momentum and ensure the continued relevance and impact of the WETO, the panelists therefore issued a call for the development of regional energy transition outlooks that will closely reflect on the unique circumstances of IRENA's diverse membership. Panelists expressed the unique value of these regional energy transition outlooks in channeling and encompassing recommendations of WETO into concrete action areas that are tailored to each region, to the needs, to the situation of each region, thereby ensuring a relevant and bespoke approach towards a holistic and consistent policy frameworks which embed justice, inclusion, and equity into the transition processes of respective countries in line with their NDCs and long-term low-emission development strategies. In the meeting of the Global High-Level Forum on Energy Transition, concluded with panelists stressing the commitment to take meaningful and relevant steps with the support of IRENA to build a new energy system and bring about lasting change for our countries, our regions, our people, and our planet. To conclude, Your Excellencies, given that the Global High-Level Forum on Energy Transition is mandated to meet annually, I would like to make a call to the Assembly to use this forum as a vision-building platform for periodic reflection on the implementation of commitments, charting further cooperation and collaboration at national, regional, and international levels, and for measuring the momentum of collective action in the energy transition. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Thank you for an outstanding report, Mr. Grossard. I now invite Mr. Seth Agbeve Mahu, Deputy Director for Renewable Energy at the Ministry of Energy of Ghana, to report to the Assembly on the discussions of the Ministerial on Just and Inclusive Energy Transitions in Africa, promoting development and industrialization. You have the floor, Mr. Mahu.
Thank you, Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to report back from the Ministerial on Just and Inclusive Energy Transitions in Africa, promoting development and industrialization, which took place on Friday, 14th January 2022. The meeting saw the launch of the Renewable Energy Market Analysis, Africa and its regions, which IRENA developed in close collaboration with the African Development Bank. The report discusses the challenges and opportunities of the energy transition on the continent. The report finds that the energy transition, accompanied by a holistic policy framework, can help overcome structural dependencies and could raise GDP by 6.4% above the current plans, create 26 million jobs by 2050, and significantly improve welfare. It also highlights the role of an African Green Deal as a collaborative framework to support the development of tailored and comprehensive policy packages underpinned by Pan-African and international cooperation. The event provided a platform for an exchange amongst ministers from different parts of the continent, as well as leaders from international organizations, the development community, the private sector, and academia on actions needed to strengthen the links between the energy transition, industrialization, and local value creation and the broader development agenda. Participants agreed on the tremendous opportunities offered by the energy transition. Several key priority areas were highlighted. This included the importance of planning and industrial policy to overcome structural dependencies. A common thread in many interventions echoing key findings of the report was the crucial role of comprehensive policy framework that also looks beyond renewables deployment and covers aspects related to system integration and those that support structural change and just transition, including industrial policies, labor market policies, and social protection schemes. A further point that was underscored was the role of regional integration of power systems to ensure that countries can harness their respective resource endowments while having access to a larger network able to exploit synergies between multiple renewable energy sources and demand profiles across the continent and integrate higher shares of variable renewable energy. Finally, the importance of attracting investments at the scale and speed required was highlighted, stressing particularly support on project preparation, de-risking, as well as the role of the right regulatory environment. Throughout the discussions, speakers highlighted the wide range of existing national, regional, and international initiatives and efforts to accelerate the energy transition, improve access to electricity and clean cooking, and to ensure local value creation. Consensus existed on the important role of strengthening partnership and international cooperation to realize the development priorities of African countries. Participants asked IRENA to continue to build on its work to date with a view to supporting just and inclusive energy transitions in Africa. Your Excellency, this has been the summary of the discussions that took place on Friday. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mahu. I applaud your report and efforts that are being conducted in Africa. I now invite Mr. Guy Lenz, Secretary General of the Energy Charter, to report to the Assembly on the discussions of the 2022 Legislators Forum. Mr. Lenz, you have the floor.
On 13 January 2022, 100 legislators representing almost 50 countries virtually met in occasion of the 7th IRENA Legislators Forum, hosted by the International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA, to discuss parliamentary and regulatory actions to drive national energy transition policies, from commitment to action. From the outset of the meeting, participants of the 2022 IRENA Legislators Forum renew the commitment and political will as parliamentarians to leverage the legislative oversight, as well as the representation functions, in promoting the deployment of renewable energies and accelerating the global energy transition. This is totally in line with the broader vision and objectives of the Paris Agreement and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Doing so will require robust, transparent, and predictable legislative frameworks that bolster technology deployment, give confidence to investors, enable diversification, and facilitate private sector participation, and I repeat it, and facilitate private sector participation. Flexible energy systems and regulatory toolboxes should integrate provisions related to subsidies, taxation, and planning, and promote the reallocation of resources from fossil fuel industries to sustainable energy. Legislators need to be at the forefront of efforts to establish renewable energy as a norm, not as an exception, as it was quoted during the meeting. Participants of the forum emphasized the need to set intermediary and shorter-term energy and climate objectives to guarantee incumbent accountability and monitor progress toward long-term milestones. Also, underlined by the parliamentarians, regulators, and keen experts present at the 2022 IRENA Legislators Forum, was the imperative to focus on and find solutions for issues related to energy access, distribution, transmission, maintenance and repair of renewable energy resources and related technology, especially in developing countries, in the global south, in Africa, and in Southeast Asia. In their unique position as bridges between constituents and national institutions, legislators affirmed the resolve to develop localized governance systems. Participants committed to translating green development policy from the national level to the subnational one, avoiding a top-down approach and favoring instead a more bottom-up horizontal governance structure in order to get citizens, micro-enterprises, entrepreneurs, and municipal and local governance and governments on their side, because they are the people who better knows their needs. Moreover, as representatives of the constituencies, legislators highlighted the exigency to shield consumers from price volatility to social protection programs and public financing, and to ensure that people understand the advantages of the energy transition in terms of employment and quality of life. Recognizing the need for continued dialogue and appreciative of the work IRENA does to foster cross-border exchanges of knowledge, insight, and experiences, participants called for IRENA to implement more programs and initiatives to develop parliamentarians' skill and knowledge in renewable energy, to further promote regional cooperation, to provide more data, analysis, guides, and assessments to shape energy policy, and to organize smaller, target-based, and problem and regional specific legislative seminars. Legislators also requested IRENA to create an ever-growing platform that gathers successful energy policy strategies and experiences from around the world that parliamentarians and regulators can refer to. In concluding the 2020 IRENA Legislative Forum, the participants once again welcomed the forum as an effective platform to foster sustainable, constructive dialogue between each other, with IRENA and with relevant experts and associations. Thank you very much. And I was honored to be able to chair this forum this year.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lance. Thank you. I now invite Ms. Sylvia Piana, Head of Regulatory Affairs for Africa, Asia, and Oceania, and Enel Green Power, to report to the Assembly on the discussions of the public-private dialogue. Ms. Piana, you have the floor.
Dear President of the IRENA Assembly, dear IRENA Director General Francesco La Camera, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to report back from the 5th Public-Private Dialogue on behalf of the IRENA Coalition for Action. Let me start thanking IRENA and its members for providing this opportunity for non-state actors to engage and share their views on some key issues related to energy transition. The Coalition for Action has now reached over 120 members, including private companies, industry associations, civil society, and research institutes. And this reaffirms the importance of such an international network that provides a platform for key renewable energy players to share knowledge, to share best practices, and to identify actions to accelerate the energy transition. While the world is still mobilizing efforts to end the COVID-19 pandemic, it is now more important than ever to continue delivering on our climate and sustainable development agenda. There is no time to lose. It is actually encouraging that renewable energy deployment is accelerating despite the COVID-19 induced recessions. However, and here I come to the core issue, as the energy transition accelerates, all renewable energy technologies will face an increasing volume of decommissioned equipment if we do not put the right measures in place now. Preliminary findings from the second edition of IRENA study on the end-of-life management of solar PV panels estimate the global cumulative solar PV waste will increase from 4 million tons in 2030 to almost 50 million tons in 2040 to 200 million tons in 2050. This represents more than a 50 times increase between 2030 and 2050. Therefore, the energy transition and the circular economy must go hand in hand to ensure that global energy systems are truly sustainable. If we want to succeed at scaling up renewable energy development significantly, we must also implement concrete enabling frameworks on circularity and explore synergies across sectors. Public and private actors partaking in the dialogue agreed on the urgency to act now to manage anticipated waste volume. Let me highlight 3 key points from this public-private dialogue. The first one, circularity in renewables presents vast opportunities of socio-economic benefits, such as new industries, new jobs, environmental gains, considerable economic value. So with this approach, we can eliminate waste and unlock a large stock of raw materials and valuable components. The second point is that while some leading associations, some leading industries are already prioritizing sustainability, concrete actions are required to achieve full circularity across the whole value chain. This includes establishing sustainable measures to decommission renewables and to integrate end-of-life management consideration from the early stages of design. Innovation and technological advancements are, of course, crucial to switch into more sustainable and efficient use of materials across the lifetime of products. And the third point, not in order of importance, is that it is true that some governments are already putting circularity at the center of their decarbonization strategies, but many countries still do not have renewable energy specific circular economy and waste regulation. Leading industry associations are calling for a level playing field and for the standardization of regulation and legislations across sectors and across regions. And in this perspective, international collaboration and cross-sectoral cooperation are key to aligning efforts to advance end-of-life management and circularity. Ladies and gentlemen, leading renewable energy associations and companies are putting circularity at the heart of their strategies. Decisive action is needed from all governments so that policy framework, waste regulation, and infrastructure are fully enabling this approach. Let's act now to accelerate a truly sustainable energy transition. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ms. Piana. As you stated, public-private partnership is crucial, as well as circularity to become the center of all our actions, and we have to act now. So thank you. Thank you for your comments. It is now my pleasure to invite Ms. Salma El Gamal, young leader from Egypt, to report to the Assembly on the discussions of the 2022 IRENA Youth Forum. Ms. El Gamal, you have the floor.
أصحاب الفخامة والسمو السيدات والسادة الأعزاء.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present to you the results of IRENA's Youth Forum of 2022. Allow me to shift to English.
Report back from the third IRENA Youth Forum that took place on the 13th January in a virtual setting and on the sidelines of the 12th session of the IRENA Assembly. Over 400 young energy leaders gathered virtually to support youth inclusion in the public debate and discuss youth-led solutions to accelerate the energy transition and achieve climate objectives. The forum offered the opportunity for young people globally to exchange their views and ideas with high-level representatives from international institutions and organizations. In the proceedings of the third IRENA Youth Forum, the following has been identified as significant areas of necessary change. Education serves as the foundation to advance the development of necessary skills for a sustainable and clean energy transition, and governments must guide skills training to meet the needs of their societies. For this reason, theoretical and practical renewables and energy efficiency studies, as well as various forms of training programs, must be realized. Governments, industries, and multilateral organizations should further offer more professional development opportunities for young people in the energy sector as an essential solution to empower and build the capacity of young energy leaders, including through scholarships, mentorships, apprenticeships, internships, and entry-level positions. Young entrepreneurs and innovators have proven once again that they play an indispensable role in finding creative solutions for the provision of energy services in their region. New entrepreneurs need established businesses to pass on their experience and practical knowledge. In addition, young entrepreneurs must be supported in bringing their projects into the public debate and involving youth in national and regional policies. Participants of the Youth Forum concurred that the lack of access to funding is a major constraint to the adoption and expansion of youth-led solutions in the field of renewable energy, and that increased financial support can substantially empower young people. This is especially true in developing countries. Young people have also emphasized the importance to locally address climate change and the energy transition. Youth can serve as a powerful link between local communities and the national global dialogues. With the right support systems, young energy leaders can grow their innovative capabilities and effectively implement the energy transition in correspondence with their local needs and priorities. However, achieving this requires equal access to modern technology all around the world. Governments must ensure that young people have the possibility and necessary means to be connected and represented at all levels. Moreover, youth should not only be heard, but also integrated into decision-making processes as much as possible. We commend the pledge of the United Arab Emirates to have the largest ever global youth representation at COP28, and the UAE leadership that puts the youth at heart by mandating youth representatives in councils and boards. And we hope to see similar actions taken by all governments to have youth and senior decision makers working side by side. To conclude, we wish to acknowledge and appreciate the youth engagement work that IRENA has very well championed, and we urge IRENA to continue to promote the IRENA Youth Forum as an inclusive platform that encourages continuous and meaningful engagement of the new generation of decision makers. We also look forward to the realization of the youth initiatives announced by IRENA for 2022, including the launch of the Global Council on Enabling Youth Action for SDG 7, as well as the training program for youth climate and energy leaders, launched in response to the demands of the youth pre-COP26 in Milan, with the support of the Italian government and the activities on education and teacher training supported by the government of the United Arab Emirates. We are on the verge of global energy transformation. As young people, we are committed and look forward to continuing the work that is so central to the future of energy and its impact on global prosperity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Salma. I invite you and those 400 participants of that forum to keep raising your voices. You are a motor, you are a consciousness, you are vital in promoting and the implementation of policies and actions towards a better world, a more humane world with renewable energy. So I hope that next year's forum, there will be 4,000 or 40,000 of you participating. Thank you very much. I will now invite Ms. Tirsha Kunda Simbini, energy infrastructure expert out of Nepal, to report to the Assembly on the discussions of the long-term energy scenarios for developing energy transitions plan in Africa. Ms. Simbini, you have the floor.
Thank you, Excellency. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to report to the Assembly the outcomes of the long-term energy scenarios for developing national energy transition plans in Africa, a side event that was held during the Stakeholder Engagement Day of the 12th IRENA Assembly. Long-term energy scenarios they have been deployed by many governments and used as an effective tool for energy planning around the world. As the energy transition touches our society, economies, and environment in an increasingly broader and complex manner, the long-term energy scenarios is serving as an even more important tool in planning towards the clean energy transition. In Africa, we have the examples of countries developing long-term energy scenarios as key inputs to the country's master plans. This side event was also the final session of the Africa webinar series, and in the previous 5 sessions of the webinar series that took place before, we had the privilege of hearing the experiences of 9 African countries that are known for good energy planning and scenario development practices. This assembly session of the long-term energy scenarios webinar series showcased efforts by African power pools to create a regional planning platform through coordination of planning scenarios and development of regional power pool master plans. This session also discussed lessons that can be drawn moving forward to the coordination of the continental level, specifically in the context of the development of the African Union's Continental Power Systems Master Plan, which is a key element of the Africa Single Electricity Market. The event welcomed the speakers from the East and Western African Power Pools and the Association for Mediterranean Transmission Systems Operators, where they featured the processes around developing regional master plans. Representatives from these three regional economic from three regional economic communities of West Africa, East Africa, and Southern Africa made interventions on their roles in supporting the regional planning coordination. Speakers highlighted those scenarios. Are fundamental inputs to the regional master plans and are used by the power pools to identify the infrastructure needs to guide future investment. They also allow the most effective use of renewable energy across the regions, create strategies for maximizing the benefits of interconnection. Planning documents are important, but the process to develop them is important as well, because it creates a platform for regional level coordination as well as ownership, both at technical as well as at political level. Having a robust process ensures the sustainability of the efforts of updating these national as well as regional and continental master plans. Each power pool highlighted the importance of having a good governance structure, stakeholder dialogue, and a communication strategy. Some recurring themes were also shown throughout this series, with countries and power pools stressing the importance of internalizing scenario development skills, which allows institutions and governments to have autonomy over their scenario development process. In that regard, the effort of creating the Continental Power Systems Master Plan is highly welcomed by the power pools and regional economic communities. The Continental Power Systems Master Plan should be based on a transparent, consensus-based, as well as a bottom-up approach. In conclusion, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this event was organized under the IRENA's long-term energy scenarios network, a platform of government energy planners to exchange knowledge and best practices on the development and use of long-term energy scenarios in the context of the clean energy transition. The audience feedback at this session and also at the previous session show that this peer-to-peer exchange of experiences across the African stakeholders was highly appreciated and inspired other African countries to establish or improve their long-term energy practices using these long-term energy scenarios. Since yesterday, we have also had many delegates highlighting the urgency of translating political ambition into action. The long-term energy scenarios is one of the very effective tools to enable this transition. With the long-term energy scenarios for the Continental Power Systems Master Plan, this will contribute towards Africa finding its pathways to achieve a cost-effective and inclusive as well as just transition. So with those remarks, I thank you, Chair.
I thank you very much, Mr. Simbini. All your efforts are absolutely necessary so we can foresee and we can concrete our actions for Africa and for the world that we yearn for. Do I take it that the Assembly wishes to take note of the reports presented under this agenda item? I hear no objection. It is so decided.